Hey everyone, thank you for joining. Welcome to Media Composer for the Next Generation Creators. I'm Shauna Purcell, Head of Education, Sales and Marketing.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining.
Sorry, I just got a bit of double back there, but that's my title. But I'm not speaking today, so it is with great pleasure that I can introduce Raymond Thompson, who is our Senior Director, Partner and Industry Marketing, and Michael Krulik, Video Product Evangelist and Marketing Solutions. So without further ado, I'm going to throw this over to Ray Thompson to kickstart the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining this evening or this morning, depending on where you are. My name is Ray Thompson, and as Shauna said, I am the Senior Director here at Avid for Partner and Industry Marketing. And hopefully by the end of today's webinar, you'll have a good understanding of what Avid does specific to education and understand some of the programs that are currently available. And then we're going to walk through a nice demo of the latest and greatest for Media Composer and talk about the different options, especially as it relates to training and training students on Media Composer. And so hopefully by the end of today's webinar, you'll have all those things in hand. You know, if you think about Avid and sort of what we bring to the table, pretty much all the movies and television shows, a lot of the music you're listening to are all sort of results of professionals using Avid toolsets to create content. And that's true for film, music, broadcast, sports, news, documentaries, you name it. Avid is definitely a pervasive tool set that's used to create those stories that we watch every single day. There are so many companies that leverage Avid across the board and use Avid tool sets on a day-to-day basis for their reliability and for their proven capability in demanding production environments. When you look at the Avid portfolio, it includes things for audio and music, specifically everything from hardware, including mixing consoles and all the tools to basically manage input and output, as well as the world famous Pro Tools, which has really become a standard in the industry when it comes to music creation and certainly for post audio. When you think about video post and storage, certainly Media Composer, as we've already pointed out, has been used pervasively in the industry for well over 30 years and has recently gone through a refresh in the last few years, some of which you'll get to see. And then of course, Avid Storage, which Avid, you may or may not be aware of, was one of the first companies to introduce networked storage used in post-production environments, again, designed to handle demanding production workflows. And then on the media platform side, you know, certainly post-pandemic, we're finding that customers want to move aggressively to the cloud, as well as move to as a service type offerings, right? And so in that group, we're really focused on hybrid type cloud deployment options, as well as all cloud deployment options, and SaaS offerings, some of which are just rolling out, including things like Edit on Demand, which is basically cloud-based editing for really any type of use case. So when you think about Media Composer and the video BU and kind of what we're bringing to bear and sort of where we're going to focus today's presentation, we're really talking about Media Composer. And again, Media Composer has been around for well over 30 years and has become a stalwart in the industry and has been for a long time. People rely on Media Composer because of not only the workflow and the user interface, but they really rely on it because of the fact that it's a proven tool set. And this is what students ultimately want to learn as part of a broader program that teaches students media production overall. And Media Composer and the fact that it's used by so many different companies in the industry for a broad array of different types of production really affords students the ability to graduate with an understanding of Avid and Avid tool sets and have a well-positioned set of tools for themselves to go out and have an amazing career in the industry. And then Nexus, of course, is our third sort of generation of storage, which again is a multi-tiered lineup of storage solutions that cater to a variety of different workflows specific to production, whether it be for film and post, audio and music creation, or certainly broadcast, news, sports, and remote live production. So we're going to see some of that in action today. The other key thing to know about Avid, of course, is that it's definitely been around for a long time, and we've won multiple awards. And I'm not saying that necessarily to brag, but more so to point out the fact that because Avid has been an innovator for so long in the industry and has been recognized not only for the work that it's done and the tools it's brought to the industry to help make content creation easier, has also created multiple patents over the years, all of which creates that innovation that I'm talking about. And that's what students really want to be able to learn and take advantage of as they then migrate into their career in media and entertainment. And then we also rely heavily on our Avid Customer Association. You know, it is almost 30,000 strong plus, and we rely on their constant feedback, basically drive the roadmap. So a lot of the tool sets that you'll see today and a lot of the features that are in Media Composer are a direct result of the feedback from that Avid Customer Association. So if you think about Avid in education, think of it as a three-legged stool. We have Avid Learning Academy, which we just rolled out. We just made this announcement back at the beginning of, I think it was March. And basically what Avid Learning Academy is a program designed for high school students and younger to basically start to learn Avid tool sets as, again, a part of a broader program for students to learn about media and media production. And this allows students to start to learn on the same tool sets that are used by companies like, you know, some of the biggest film and broadcast companies in the world who are relying on Avid tool sets to create the very content that they probably listen to and or watch every single day. And they can use those same tool sets to then maybe even build their own audience, either on social media to create content for social platforms, and then over time become masters of the tool set as well as the craft of editing, and then hopefully have an amazing career. To help them do that in the next phase of their evolution, it would be the Avid Learning Partner Program, which is a program that's been rolled out to over 600 plus schools and universities all around the globe. And really what the ALP program affords is multiple different offerings around allowing students and the teachers to basically take advantage of programs that train students on how to use Media Composer, again, as part of either a broader program that includes broadcast journalism, film and television production, or certainly audio and audio post-production. And then last but not least is Avid Media Campus. Avid Media Campus, the best way to sort of understand what Avid Media Campus is really just think of it as an enterprise agreement that exists between Avid and the school or university. What this really does is it allows you to basically spread out the cost of leveraging Avid tool sets, whether you're using those for day-to-day operations of your own school or university, or you're also taking advantage of the ALP program I just mentioned to train students as part of your broader programs. You can now actually sort of spread those costs out over a number of years, which makes it a lot easier from an economic perspective to take advantage of Avid tool sets and certainly add more as your program grows. This is sort of the top part of the stool, if you will. Just a sample of some of the companies that rely on Avid every single day. So this is what we call pull-through, right? This is the pull-through for students going all the way down to that Avid Learning Academy program I just referenced, which is creating that enthusiasm for students to learn the tool sets in order to basically become part of the overall media universe and basically become experts within Avid. All these companies and many more are looking for qualified workers basically to run their business every single day. And so we're really trying to get more aggressive in terms of where and when we start with students, including the high school programs, to then create a feeder system for the schools and universities, and then ultimately a feeder system for these very companies who are in need of talent and people who understand not only the Avid overall universe, but the craft of editing and using Avid to help hone that craft. So real quick, I'm just going to play a video that we just created that highlights the Avid basically Learning Academy program. The Avid Learning Academy program, again, was just released and is today only available in the US, but in the coming years, it will be available in EMEA and then ultimately the APAC region. Let's learn a little bit more about what Avid Learning Academy is.
Avid has been delivering the tools that enable creatives for music, movies, television, commercial, broadcast, and digital production to inspire and entertain for over 30 years. Now, Avid is partnering with Rowman & Littlefield, one of the largest independent publishers in North America, delivering a ready-made curriculum to high school teachers, certifying students on Avid's industry-leading software. empowering students to explore their creative side as they learn the craft of editing, while positioning them for a career in the media and entertainment business. Specifically tailored to the National Core Arts Standards and California's CTE model curriculum standards, the program highlights learning objectives, provides interactive in-class activities, and helpful forms for each lesson in the book. Students who pass the certification exam at the end of the curriculum earn an industry-recognized credential, smoothing their transition and articulation to post-secondary study. As students use the Rowman and Littlefield digital platform, they can review course content by topic, take practice quizzes, review results and tailor study feedback, as well as take course exams and quizzes assigned by their instructor. For teachers, they can manage assignments, quizzes, and tests tailored to specific levels of difficulty, track student results, give students access to Media Composer and Pro Tools first certification exams, preparing the future with limitless possibilities, enabling career pathways, enabling students to realize their creative goals, leveraging an industry that relies on Avid tools to inform, entertain, and dazzle viewers, now and into the future. Avid and Rowman and Littlefield combined are delivering the tools students need to become part of a global creative community, passionate about telling stories that capture our imagination and inform our world. The Avid Learning Academy program, Avid First Free Tools, and Rowman and Littlefield working closely with teachers and students, preparing the next generation of media professionals.
So as you can see, that Avid is taking education very seriously, and we're getting more aggressive, like I said, try and get students involved earlier and learn the tool sets that will make them successful in the business. And that starts with the Avid Learning Academy, and then certainly moves on to the Avid Learning Partner Program, and then of course trains them to be professionals in the industry. So real quick, tee up a demo that Michael Krulik, my colleague, is about to go through with Media Composer. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the key things that have changed with regards to Media Composer. Again, everything you're going to see today is really a result of feedback from our Avid Customer Association and specifically the education group. So a lot of these features were really designed to enable better capabilities across the board, while at the same time making the tool set much easier to use. So here are some of the key things. User-definable UI, certainly one of the big feedback pieces that we get very often is that oftentimes people feel like Media Composer is difficult to learn. So we enable folks to basically define their UI by moving around the different templates. And again, Michael will show this, so you can basically have a fully customizable user experience. And that's possible today. Certainly Avid is known and has been known for a long time as the go-to offline editing tool set, certainly for all the different industries and verticals within the industry that I talked about. But we're all now also a finishing tool because we've added a lot of capabilities that allow us to do 32-bit color floating point in the tool set itself, which basically allows you to do finishing and mastering and delivery, which is new as of the 2019 build and continues to iterate going forward. There's also tools that can accelerate encoding. You can actually create your own render farm using something called distributed processing, which basically takes advantage of idle CPUs to basically render things like effects and graphics and sequences, and do so very quickly by leveraging the network. We're also working constantly on collaboration. Certainly the pandemic has changed the way in which certainly students can learn, and a lot of students had to learn from home. So we've done a lot as it relates to being able to access systems that are on premises from home using a thin client, using things like Teradigi, which is a PC over IP tool set that allows you to basically tunnel in and basically run Media Composer as if it was sitting underneath your desk. And there's also a whole host of other tool sets that are available now that allow you to basically create and deliver content to multiple different OTT providers, which, as we all know today, is absolutely critical. So when every frame counts, the original NLE is the one to turn to. And again, the reason why it's important for education to understand this is because this has become, again, a standard, certainly in the industry for all the different areas that I've talked about: broadcast, film, television, and certainly audio. The new design basically provides a variety of different ways in which students can learn. You can customize and show only the tool sets that are basically needed for that particular level of student. And then as that student masters those capabilities, you can add more and more as you go along. Flexible deployment and licensing models, again, talking about Avid Media Campus and the ways in which you can basically take advantage of Avid tool sets and spread those costs for multiple years. And then the fact that it's a comprehensive tool set, which allows you to basically take advantage of not just Media Composer, but Nexus Storage, Pro Tools and Pro Tools Audio, Pro Tools Audio hardware, certainly graphics, ingest and playout tool sets, and graphics, so much more. And we have lots of schools who take advantage of literally everything Avid makes. In terms of the user experience, this is all new. In 2019, Avid redesigned the user interface, which took multiple years and tons of feedback from multiple different user groups to make sure that we got it right. And this, again, continues to iterate over time. And again, what you'll see today from Michael is that new user interface. So if you have folks who've used the old user interface who've maybe been hesitant to move forward, well, now's the time to definitely do it. Again, because it's not only improved since even 2019, but it's actually become a lot more powerful. So if you want to take advantage of some of the cool new feature sets, you definitely want to try and move forward and take advantage of the new UI. In terms of the offline capabilities, you can save so much more time. And that's, again, one of the benefits of taking advantage of the 2019 builds and beyond. It makes it much easier to navigate and find projects, bins, timelines, and certainly content within your repository. You can use things like phonetic search, which is basically allowing you to basically type in a word or phrase, and it'll go through and find that, that basically word or phrase pretty much throughout your content library. And then when you pull up the clip, it'll actually show you exactly in the clip where that word or phrase was spoken, just as one of the many examples of some of the cool features that you can take advantage of. Avid also introduced the unified or universal media engine, I should say. And basically what this allows us to do is improve performance overall, which is critical always moving forward. As more and more productions move to higher and higher resolutions and higher bit rates, it becomes more important for us to be able to do a better job processing that content. The other key thing to note is the fact that we can also support a broader range of codecs and formats using the universal media engine. So this was all some of the under the hood work that was done for some of these more recent builds, and this took a long time. And again, we continue to iterate here by introducing more and more format support and more codec support. In terms of finishing, I mentioned earlier the fact that there was the introduction of this 32-bit full float color pipeline. This is, again, a new capability that allows folks to stay within Media Composer to do all of their finishing work. So this reduces the need for transcodes and allows you to basically work natively with a broader range of formats, including uncompressed formats, and basically support ACES workflows, and again, allow you to basically work in a variety of different new formats. So you can stay inside of Media Composer and do a lot more as it relates to finishing. In terms of Media Composer Enterprise, and I'll show you the different types of Media Composer options that are available today, but certainly Enterprise is one of the ones that's very important. Again, referencing the Avid Learning Partner Program and the fact that we have a growing number of folks who are becoming ACR certified through the program, whether they're students or professionals, we're building a pipeline of folks who can walk into one of those logoed companies that I mentioned earlier and start right away and start contributing right away. And that's really what we're trying to design here through the education program, is create a feeder system for those companies to have folks who are certified on Avid toolsets. There's also a long-term ROI for the student who learns those programs, because longer term, they'll be able to have not only a longer career, but certainly a more full career by being able to understand the Avid toolsets as part of the broader understanding of the craft of editing. In terms of what you can do, again, this is one of the areas where you can customize the capabilities within Media Composer to allow only the tool sets that are needed for that student at that time to be exposed. So that means it makes it A, easier to use, and then B, as they master those tools, they can then graduate to more and more capabilities within the tool set, hopefully basically making it less intimidating and certainly cutting down the time it takes to learn the tool set, and then giving them confidence as they get more and more used to the tools that are available. So this is the lineup today of the different Media Composer options. We have everything from the free Media Composer First tool set, which is available for download at avid.com. And then you start getting into the paid versions of Media Composer, Media Composer Ultimate, which has these options, as you can see on the screen, and then Media Composer Enterprise, which has all those options and includes the customization capability that I just mentioned, allowing you to basically expose tool sets to the students. And then you have all of these different options when it comes to monitoring output. And one of the things I'll mention here is that certainly with remote workflows, being able to monitor the output of Media Composer has become a big need. And so there are definitely options that are coming out soon that will enable you to basically send the output of Media Composer or the actual user interface of Media Composer, or both side by side, or come out of the internet to someone working at home, either on a mobile device or certainly on a VLC player using a plugin, or even on a decoded device that then could send SDI out to a third monitor. So there's going to be some options that are coming out there. And then a key tenet to certainly all of the Avid tool sets is our storage. As I mentioned, Avid has rolled out the third generation of storage known as Nexus. And Avid has got a long history delivering storage solutions and networked storage solutions for media and entertainment use, and going all the way back to the Avid Unity days. And certainly what we have designed it to do is provide multiple different options to really handle a variety of different use cases, including high performance workflows that include things like color correction, which is now possible inside of Media Composer, and finishing work, while at the same time allowing even smaller companies to take advantage of performance and reliability and the redundancy baked into Nexus, and basically use it even in scenarios where you have smaller teams. It's fully redundant, no single point of failure. It provides a whole host of different ways in which we offer for media protection. You can deploy it both on-prem in the cloud as hybrid environments. You know, most of the customers we talk to today are doing hybrid type workflows where they have on-prem deployments as well as certainly cloud deployments. And there are tools that will be coming soon that'll allow you to basically take advantage of the ability to sync the two more easily. And then of course, management, you know, the user interface is basically just a browser-based login, and the same Nexus management tool set that you have today that manages your on-prem environment also manages your cloud environment. So this is what the lineup looks like today. We have everything from SSDs for high performance workflows all the way down to a tier one set of storage solutions that take into consideration for a variety of different costs scenarios so that folks can take advantage of different sized Nexus systems. And then of course we have a nearline that allows you to park projects and media. So it's very dense. And then of course we have cloud spaces, which allows you to extend that tier out into the cloud, making all of those assets liquid assets, meaning they're accessible inside of the Avid Nexus file system, all through the Media Composer UI. And just one thing I'll note is that Avid, of course, has a great relationship with Microsoft. We forged the relationship several years ago and renewed it last year. And one of the key things that we did was work on integrating the Avid Nexus file system into the Azure Blob storage stack. And that took a few years to finish, quite honestly, but that's one of the unique differentiators between Avid running inside of, say, Microsoft and Azure versus, say, running in some other cloud service provider. And so that's really what is allowing a lot of the current software as a service type options, as well as some of the customized deployments that you might be reading about in the news that Avid is doing. It really all emanates from the hard work that was done at the beginning of the relationship. The other key thing to note about Nexus is the fact that you can not only run, of course, Avid tool sets across the board, Media Central, Media Composer, certainly Pro Tools, anything else that Avid makes can all pull off of Nexus, but we also support a variety of different third parties to sit on Avid Nexus as well, including Adobe Premiere Pro, Apple Final Cut, Blackmagic, and DaVinci Resolve, and certainly Autodesk Flame, just to name a few, all of which can take advantage of performance, reliability, and the no single point of failure that Avid Nexus provides. Certainly Avid Nexus in the cloud, just referencing what I just talked about in terms of our relationship with Microsoft, is powering our Avid Edit on Demand, which is complete editorial in the cloud. And then we have customized deployments that are happening today that are very elaborate, broad for some of those bigger companies that you saw mentioned earlier on that are deploying now in the cloud, sort of as business continuity workflows, sort of replicating what they're doing on site. And again, all of this is motivating for students to learn because Avid becomes more and more deployed across multiple different verticals within our industry, and it's becoming more and more. So with all of that tee up, Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you to go ahead and share a demo. So take it away, Michael.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Shauna. Ray, great job with a little preview there. I'll go ahead and share my screen and give a little preview. You should be seeing my Media Composer UI. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up, Ray. What I want to point out here is if you haven't seen Avid Media Composer at all, if you haven't seen it in a while, as Ray mentioned, it has gone through a huge change, a big overhaul under the hood with the Universal Media Engine and also with the whole look of it. We know that there are students and editors who are just getting into editing. They want something that's easy to navigate and look at, but we also want the seasoned editors to still be able to work. I mean, Media Composer has been out there for over 30 years. So a lot of development, and thanks to editors and students and faculty who have been using it to help push it along. So just to explain, I'm working off of a laptop. So this is a single display UI. You can set up Media Composer to go across multiple displays. If you go into a lot of edit bays here in Hollywood, you will see a bin monitor and an edit monitor. But here I'm on a single monitor. And the first thing I want to point out is we have basically created a paneled UI. So not only is it clean and modern, it's also locked in so you don't have bins and windows on top of one another. And as Ray mentioned, it's user defined. So every editor can set up their workspace to either have paneled windows or they can be floating. So we can take any of these bins and windows and pull them out of the display and float them as well, or take them and dock them back into my panels here. So things you want to look at initially is you do have your bins and folders. This is an Avid project that's set up. This is a scene from the TV show The Orville. So multiple tracks of video, multiple tracks of audio, VFX, layering and control. Of course, his leg is not cut off, but you can see that the different layers when editorial is going in through the process is setting up temp VFX and layers and being able to do that all within editorial, which is really nice, and then sent out to a VFX house and brought back in with the final. But a lot of great workflows here as far as editing. So you have your source and record windows up here. You have your bins, which can be displayed as text or as frames. Again, your bins and folders, how things are being organized, and your timeline here. But what I really want to point out on the far right side are your task-oriented workspaces. What that means is if you want, I don't know if you can see, my window might be blocking, but the edit workspace is currently what is active. But I can easily go in by clicking the color workspace to take a look at my color or effects or audio. So these are all set up as easy sort of rooms that you can go into to perform certain functions within Media Composer. Now, this is real estate, so if you do want that to be hidden, you can hide that as well. So now you don't see that. By the way, all of those buttons and workspaces can be mapped to a keystroke on your keyboard, so you can quickly bring them up. But you'll also see that you have your workspaces here inside of the menus, or in the upper right-hand corner, you also have them selectable here as well. And you can bring up your workspace bar. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to start from outside of a project. So when you launch Media Composer, what you're going to see is the new project management window. And this is sort of a view into all of the projects that are currently on your system. Now, if you were on Avid Nexus, the projects could be on a separate workspace, but all of the media could be on another workspace. So if you're a school and you have maybe a bunch of media that you want the students all to use, Nexus is a great way to go in, put the media on a single workspace, but all of the students can be accessing that same workspace with media at the same time and using it. And you as instructors can manage that media and the projects. Or you could have everything on an external drive and hooked up as I have right here. So here's my project window. So I'm seeing my different project names. You can use a little frame of your project to actually give a little preview. If you want to go in and change the size of your view, you have a little slider here. But what I really want to point out is what's new. And what you're seeing here is with the new UI, we have, since the new UI was introduced in 2019, wow, that's 2 years ago, that's crazy. You can see when I open up, you can view with a little high-level overview what is new in that version. So you're not having to hunt around for what is new in the new version that comes out. You can simply open up the little dial here, open that up, see the little high-level overview. Let's see, IMF supplemental support. This is for Netflix and other people that need an IMF package. We actually have that built into Media Composer now. So you can edit, create an IMF package. If you don't know what an IMF package is and want to find out more information, you hit the little I for information here, and it's going to take you to online documentation for that feature. So again, we're trying to make it easy for people who are just using Media Composer to find out, or even who've been using it for years, what's new and also what each feature means. Then we can go back to selecting the projects again. And what you'll see if I create a new project here, and I'm going to call this project Demo 5, you'll see all of the different formats that can be created. So you do have HD, PAL, NTSC, so all of the legacy stuff we still support, but 2K, 4K, UHD, even up to 16K projects within Media Composer. So you can also go in and create custom formats. So if you're creating a Snapchat or if you're creating a different format, you can do that here. What I want to point out is the mention of Media Composer Enterprise. You can actually limit what project settings can be created here. So the real great thing about Media Composer Enterprise is you can customize what experience these students are going to have and limit sort of features and functions depending on what you're teaching them. So you'll see here, if I go into HD, all the different frame rates. If I go to 2K, all the different frame rates here. So creating a project is very easy, and also your color spaces. Ray mentioned working in ACES and 32-bit float. You'll see all of the different color spaces that now can be set up as a project within Avid Media Composer and have a complete pipeline with those project formats, colors, and color spaces throughout the entire process. So all in one package, really great. So let's go back to my Demo Days project here. And we're going to go into some other things within Avid Media Composer. Now, a real important thing here is whenever a student or an editor or an assistant or anybody is working within Media Composer is setting up settings according to how they like to work. And that is all under your settings window. So you'll see here, here's my project settings, so I can see what is currently set up as my project format and frame rate. I could change that anytime here as well. Here's my project settings and my user settings. Now this is important because now I can go into my keyboard and map my keys for certain functions. There is a default set of keys here, but if I want to map a key, let's say I want to go to my command palette. These are all of the functions within Media Composer. Here's my workspaces. So if I want to take a workspace, let's say I want to take my edit workspace and I want to map that to a key, I simply take that key, drop it down to my keyboard, and drop it where I want to map that to a key. So when I hit the letter N now, it's going to bring up my edit workspace. And this is for all functions available within Avid Media Composer. So what you're going to find is when an editor starts learning Media Composer, they may not use the mouse as much. They may not have everything mapped on their keys, so they're just using the keyboard for editorial. Really, really great way to work. Plus, you can also map any pull-down menu. So things like renders or adding tracks or things like that can also be mapped to a key. So depending on how you like to work, you can use the keyboard, you can use the mouse. It's really up to you. Okay, totally customizable throughout Avid Media Composer. Now looking at some other things within Media Composer, we do have our bins here. You can actually choose to have, again, your bins floating or docked. So you'll see you can have bins and windows float. We can take that and put it back into my UI. My bins here, if I double click on a closed bin, let's say I want to open up Doc Kratzer here, it's going to open up into this panel. And you'll see that it actually tabs it. So inside of this bin container here, I have tabbed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bins, giving you a nice clean look. You can access these at any time. If you want to take a clip and put it into your source window. You can click and drag it. You can double click, depending on how you want to view it. And then you can mark ins and outs and drag that into your timeline for editorial, or hit splice in or overwrite keys. Again, those are on a keyboard for quick and easy editing. Okay. Now, if we take a look at the bin here, you'll see that there are a lot of clips in this bin. We do have a feature here, which is actually showing me how many bins or how many items I have within there. I have 124 things in there. It's actually showing me 122 master clips, 1 linked clip, and 1 subclip. So it actually gives you status on what is in there. This is a new feature within the latest version of Media Composer. Now, what I can also do is bring up what we call a bin map. So imagine you're scrubbing through, you're trying to find a clip, and you know that you're because of the size of your viewing area, you can't see all of your clips at one time, even if you're in text mode. So in frame mode, I'm going to turn on a feature called the bin map. And what this is sort of like a bird's eye view of your entire bin. The highlighted area here is actually what is being seen visually, and I can move that around to navigate through. It's almost like a video game, a Google map of your bin. So you can click and move, jump to any point in your bin to view it. Again, that's something you can turn on or off. Of course, that could be mapped to a key as well. And you can also go into text mode if you want to just scan through your clips. You could also, depending on your metadata that you have on there, there's a lot of metadata. We maintain that throughout the editorial process. This is stuff that you can search on. This is stuff that you can actually maintain when you are creating lists and stuff when you are exporting as well. But I want to point out that bin map was actually a really interesting thing that people thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if you could do that also in your timeline? So you'll see here, if I'm zoomed into a portion of my timeline, the actual timeline is right here. If I'm zoomed in, rather than moving around and trying to find a certain scene or threat in the side of the sequence, I can go to my sequence map. And the sequence map is just like the bin map. It's actually putting my sequence into a little panel here, and I can navigate around my sequence. The cool thing about this panel is anything that has a vertical title can be docked into the UI. So I can take that, put it into my UI. That's now a workspace that I could say, let's save that workspace as a new workspace. I'm going to call it WS3. And that now is saved as a new workspace down here. And I can switch between my different workspaces here and switch between them as they're saved. So really nice feature with total, again, customizing of your workspaces and UI. Now, if we don't want that panel to actually come up as a separate panel with the sequence map, we can go to the timeline settings and say, let's take the sequence map and turn it on as an overlay to my sequence, just like the bin map here. So now when I select sequence map, it comes up in the lower right-hand corner. Again, this is all set up by the user. You're defining how you want to view your sequence. Okay? Some other things I want to highlight, this is actually really cool, is going in and renaming my clips. First thing I want to do, because you might see that the text might be a little dull in color, that is a user setting. So I can go to my interface settings here, and I can say, let's dial up the quality or the brightness of my bin text. I hit apply. You'll see that is now brighter. Again, totally customizable as far as brightness, as far as looks. I could go in and make my UI, you know, a little different gray color here. Again, I like the darker, more modern look, and even change my highlight colors. Again, all customizing. But what I want to point out is if I go into my names here As you start creating and duplicating media and renaming things, you're going to get a lot of copies, a lot of news. A new feature that we added recently within Media Composer is what we call bulk edit. So now in one button here, I can select multiple clips, choose bulk edit, and I could say, let's go ahead and change the names of all of these selected clips to be drone underscore. I'm going to add another name. Let's say day 1 underscore, and we're seeing the end result right here. Let's go ahead and add a counter as well. So now each one is going to be named drone underscore day 1 underscore, and then a counter. I hit commit, and I've now changed all of those names with one button. I didn't have to go into the 300 clips and name each one individually. I can do it quickly and easily by selecting everything. And then next we can go in, rather than just doing a bulk edit, we want to get rid of the .new, which is in every one of these clips here. So rather than changing the whole name, we now have introduced a feature called find and replace. And find and replace lets me go in and say, find all of the .news. It's actually highlighting. It's just like a word processor, where it's going to show me the first instance is orange. All of the rest of them are yellow. I could go in and replace it with anything I want. If I want it to be nothing, I hit replace. You see that it starts taking out the .news, or I can say replace all, and I've now taken them all out. So this is, by the way, an assistant editor's dream. In Hollywood, when the editor is working and the assistant has to go in and make all these changes for the editor, I've had editors say, you just saved me hours worth of work. So really, really great tools here. All right, let's see, I'm looking at the time. There are some features, I mean, there's so much here. There's lots of what's new videos that I did on YouTube. You have the what's new, which is inside of Media Composer, but I do want to show you a couple of things that are really amazing tools within Media Composer. Now, these are functions that, depending on the version that you get, they're options with the main Media Composer, or they are options that are built into Media Composer Ultimate and Media Composer Enterprise. And the first one is what we call phrase find. So imagine if you have hours and hours of footage. It could be a show or a film you're working on or an interview, and you know somebody said something. You could literally, with phrase find, type in a word. I'm going to type in the word script. I'm going to click phrase find, and it's now going to look through all of the media in your project and find every clip where it thinks it found a match where somebody said that word. No transcription is required. You can simply double click on the clip. It's going to bring up the clip and even open up the clip in the bin. And when I play this back, let's hear Chris McCaleb say,
script, it was a bigger challenge.
Now it took me right to where he said the word script. I could go to my settings and say, let's change the settings to give me 1 second of pre-roll, so that now when I go and play that back, we'll get.
It was a challenge in the script. It was a bigger.
Right there. Amazing. We are the only nonlinear editing system, the only editor that has this technology to be able to do this. So easily go in and find media without having to go and play back the hours of footage to find where somebody said a word. And by the way, it's using phonetic technology. We support over 20 languages with this technology as well. So you'll see when you go into phrase find, you can choose English, Dutch, Cantonese, Flemish, German, any language. But again, it is phonetic, and it will try and find the word that you type in as best as it can. But I also want to bring up another feature, which is called script sync. We've had script-based editing in Media Composer for, oh my God, probably over 20 years. But with this technology of the phonetic indexing, we've also brought in a feature called script sync. And what this does is it will take that technology of finding the audio and will let you match it to the actual written word. So here I have a film that was done for Avid. It's a little Agent MX0 film. This is my script for the film. And you'll see that the script has basically video assigned to it. So here's the script. It's as easy as going into new new script and bringing in a text file. This could be a transcription. This could be a script from Final Draft. It's brought into Media Composer. And what you're going to do is highlight a portion of the script, just like you would in a word processor. Then let's go to, I think it's group clips here. Let me grab some media. We'll grab some of the clips right here. Let me make sure there's some audio.
Infamous.
All right, and then I'm going to take these clips here from my bin, drag and drop them to the written word, and you'll see that that actually takes those clips and highlights them for that point in time. But now what I can do is select them. I'm going to go to Script and Script Sync. It's going to use, again, that same technology for going in and syncing, again, choosing the different languages. It's going to let me choose the dialogue. It's going to let me sync only up to this point in the script. It's going to count the characters. And then it's going to now go in and sync it, where as it's going into the syncing process, you're going to see marks appear on every take here. These marks align to the written word in the script. So that now if you're sitting with your director, your producer, your teacher, and you want to find where somebody says a certain word by the script, or you want to listen to certain performances, you can now go in and say, well. If I click right here, it's going to take me to the point in the actual script where we hear,
Well. If it isn't the infamous Agent MX0.
and if I want to listen to every performance of that, I can simply highlight all of those marks and hit play.
Well.
Whoops, let me go ahead and just drop this down so we can see it.
Well. If it isn't the infamous Agent MX0. What an...
And it's going to take me to the next.
Well. If it isn't the...
So the idea is we now have all the different performances, the different camera takes, all lining up with the dialogue in the script. You can search by that because there is in Find being able to search in the script. We type in well. We do a search, and it will then go in and bring up every script and that point in the script where it matches. Again, we're running out of time here. I just wanted to make sure, Sean, if there's any questions, if I need to, show a little bit more, but that was a really fast overview with a lot of features. Again, Script Sync and Phrase Find are only available from Media Composer and Avid, and they are in the Media Composer Ultimate and Enterprise versions and options with the Media Composer version. So
thank you, Michael. That was awesome. So I think Ray's been in the chat. So we've gotten a few questions outside of the Q&A here. So again, just a reminder, any of the attendees here, please feel free to shoot through your question. No question is a dumb question. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing the time here of our experts to answer anything you've got. Now I know, Ray's been in the chat answering a couple of questions. Some I've seen is, like I've got one here that's saying, what's the value of students being certified users? I think, Ray, you mentioned that in your presentation before, and you've answered the couple of questions, but basically, is a degree not enough? So what is the value of, say, being a Pro Tools or a Media Composer user certified student going into the industry?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely an industry recognized certification, which basically means when a company that uses Avid tool sets is looking to hire, professionals to come in and work in their companies, they recognize that certification, and it means that student can contribute, sooner rather than later, certainly as an Avid certified systems engineer, which means they understand not only the Avid tool sets and how they work, but they also understand the full environment in terms of how they're fit within the workflow. So they understand offline, online, they understand the storage systems, they understand how to basically manage user interfaces like Michael just showed. So there's a whole bunch of different things that are immediately recognized by that certification. So that's really what that provides.
Thank you. I have another question here. And again, I know, Ray, that you've kind of typed the answers there, but in case anyone hasn't seen the chat, and we're not getting a lot, might as well ask them again for everyone. So first question we got is, I guess, the difference between Media Campus and Learning Partner. Again, Ray, from the previous presentation.
Sure.
What is the kind of high level view there?
Yeah, so the Avid Learning Partner Program, or ALP, is the actual courses that are offered through Avid and ultimately through the schools and universities to train students on how to use Avid toolsets as part of a broader curriculum for either audio post-production, film and television production, or broadcast journalism. And so we're providing all of the course materials, syllabus, any media needed in order to help train the students as part of the courseware. Now, all of that is included as part of the ALP program, as well as the exams themselves that the students take to ultimately gain those certifications. So that's what the ALP program is all about. Avid Media Campus is really just a sort of enterprise agreement that allows schools and universities to basically purchase Avid toolsets, and whether they're implementing the Avid Learning Partner Program or they're using Avid toolsets for day-to-day operations. Certainly, schools and universities have, venues, right? They have, playhouses or auditoriums or churches where they might need, an Avid mixing board or Pro Tools, or certainly Media Composer to edit content. That's marketing content to market the program, all of which can be leveraged off of a centralized storage system like a Nexus, right? So as an example of a day-to-day operational use case for Avid toolsets in a university environment, they can spread those costs over multiple years and take advantage of those Avid toolsets. And again, whether those are operational uses, Avid Learning Partner Program uses, or even both, that can be spread over multiple years. And so that's the difference. Avid Media Campus is really, think of it as just an economic option or a financial option for you to basically implement the program and spread the cost of implementing that program over multiple years. And then Avid Learning Partner Program is the actual courses and all the tests and course materials needed in order to implement the program.
Great. And thirdly, this is kind of going over in the US and Canada, like Seneca College, for example, which are great examples. And again, if you want more information on that, you can find that on the Avid website under Media Campus.
Yeah, Michael, if you want, I can share my screen real quick. I'll show you some of those links.
Yeah, I was going to pop on real quick. There was a question that I wanted to just cover.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, Adam had asked, what was the thinking behind removing the 6 central buttons of the Composer window? Any chances of them being returned? So Adam, obviously you know Media Composer. I think that was just due to the design of the Composer window, but I believe if you go to the command palette, I think the 6 buttons are, I knew I was going to try to dig around here. Maybe it's other, yeah, here it is. No, that's the corner display. Yeah, I mean, all the buttons that were set here, basically they are set up that you could, oh, here it is, the tool palette. Is that what you're thinking? So now if you want to bring that up, the tool palette can be brought up by a key as well. So they're just taken out of the display. They're just hidden. They would be something that is still mappable if you wanted to bring them up. And then David asked, where is settings? Do I find bin information data along the lower base of the bin, and can I apply it to all bins at once? Good question. So the bin status right here, this was something that was introduced in 2021.3. And that is if you go under your settings, and you'll see under the, I believe it's the interface setting, there is an option under bin to show bin status by default for new bins, or to override the status visible or hidden. You can actually set that up. So that's something that is an interface setting to do that. So great questions. So I'll go ahead and stop my share, Ray, and you can show what you need to show.
Absolutely. Those were good questions. So just real quick, I know we're getting close to the end, but just wanted to share some examples of Avid Media Campus sites. These are all North American sites, but know that there are Avid Media Campus sites all around the globe. And so just a few examples of schools and universities who have taken advantage of the program. And then here are some links and resources. You know, Avid has produced quite a bit of free content that's available either through the free free online learning link, which is down here at the bottom, or the tutorial link, which also offers some free lessons on how to use pretty much everything Avid makes. And then there's also links here for you to use to inquire about the training programs themselves. So if you're in the APAC region, you can send an email to trainingapac@avid.com, and you'll get some information about how to take advantage of both ALP or Avid Media Campus or both. And so there's tons of material out there, certainly on avid.com. So I'd encourage you to go out there and check things out. Of course, if you want, you can certainly shoot me an email as well. I'm just raymond.thompson@avid.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray. And we've actually got a couple of questions. I'm getting some questions through my emails. So this one's from Mike Faber over at Macquarie. Hi, Mike. Thanks for watching. So how do we best compete with Premiere, as most of my current students are using it and they are reluctant to use a new system like Media Composer rather than what they already know and like?
Well, so here's what I would say to those students. Premiere is a great tool, so we're not saying that Premiere isn't. And in fact, if you've been looking at any of the news that's been coming out of Avid over the last year, we've actually improved the overall experience that you can have using Adobe Premiere on Avid production tools like Media Central and Avid Nexus as a couple of examples. So we're not anti-Premiere at all. But what I would say is, it's important when you go out into the professional world, if you look at all of those logos that were on this presentation earlier on, and you think about all the different content that's created, certainly, all the OTT content, certainly a lot, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of it. And then certainly a lot of the audio that you're listening to. All of those things are important to consider when, you're thinking about your career. So I would encourage those students to actually learn both Premiere and Media Composer, because most companies have both tool sets in their environments, and being able to use both is certainly absolutely important, and will certainly position those students with a lot more options when it comes to their own career. So that's what I would say to those students.
Absolutely. And I would just to add to that, I mean, with the, I'd say about 95% of feature films in Hollywood use Media Composer. And as I mentioned, lead editors rely on assistants. They rely on people who know how to use the software, manage the media, work with Nexus to basically come in and help support them. And then they're going to give them scenes to cut and move in, and then they'll rapidly become editors as well. But I mean, to Ray's point, it's just adding more tools to your arsenal. But as far as if the students want a career in editing, they have to add Media Composer to their tool set.
Right, thank you for that. And I guess still on the Media Composer train, we did get a question, again, not in the Q&A, but basically just around what are some of the solutions Avid has. So say an institution wants to enable their students to work remotely or work from home, especially given the last couple of months, and the circumstances around that. What are some of Avid's best options for education institutions to say allow their students to work remotely?
Yeah, so Avid has a lot of tools that you can leverage, some that are free, some that cost money. So RGS, which is part of HP Workstations, is basically a freely available tool set that allows you to basically remote into on-prem environments using a thin client at home. That basically provides you with the same experience you would have if you were sitting in front of that machine, at the school or university. There's also Teradigi. Teradigi, Teradici, is also another tool set that does cost money, and that allows you to also securely basically access any system that's sitting in your environment. It also is what we use, by the way, to allow folks to access Media Composer sitting in Azure as part of the Edit on Demand service as well. And basically, it is a low latency tool set that's also highly secure. That allows you to run Media Composer, again, as if it was running on a machine sitting underneath your desk. So those are just a few of the options. There's also other remote options like Cloud Remote, and then and a few other things that are available as well, all of which is up on avid.com. These are all running in typically virtualized environments, which is what allows you, of course, to deploy either in a data center or certainly in the cloud. So lots of good options. You know, it's funny, a lot of these technologies have existed for quite some time, but it really wasn't until the pandemic that really everybody across the board throughout media were able to really take advantage of it and learn how effective the tool sets really are.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just looking at the YouTube comment section here, and we've got a few people commenting on the importance of certification and how it's changed their life, which is awesome to hear. Really glad. Thank you for reaching out. I've got one question here, which I'm not sure, Michael or Ray, if you're able to mention anything, but we might as well ask all questions. Is there any more features we can expect from Avid in the future?
Well, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming from Avid, you know, some of which we really can't mention, but you'll learn a lot over the summer. I'll just put it that way. And it isn't just Media Composer. It's, you know, our asset management tool set, which is editorial management, as well as Media Central, which just had a release as well for some of the larger environments that are out there. So there's a lot of great stuff that is coming, and I would say it's coming, you know, tail end of the summer, heading into the fall. And I would just encourage you all to stay tuned. And yeah, that's probably the best that I can put it. This is lots of great stuff happening. So we're excited about it, and we're excited to tell you about it. It's just not quite time yet.
And we actually have a new release of Media Composer coming out on the 15th of this month, with some new features there. I'm not going to say anything, but I think you might have had a little preview because I forgot I had a little test version on here. But yeah, it's something you probably wouldn't have seen, but if you go back and watch the video, maybe. But yeah, I mean, there's some nice stuff that is coming out, as Ray said, and we're constantly adding new features with different releases. So stay tuned.
Perfect. And one last question that I can see here again on YouTube is Avid a monthly subscription like Premiere? I'm able to kind of answer that one. Yes, it is. It's only available online, and you can subscribe monthly. We only have otherwise you can, which is available, like I just said, online. However, you can also reach out to your local reseller for an annual subscription. We also do have education pricing. That's just a reminder for both teachers and students. So if you work at an education facility, you're able to access the education discounts there. And as Ray's just flicked over to the latest education promo, as I'm sure majority of you might have received an email from Avid or myself directly, but we are doing a education promo, well, exclusive for education, where we're doing 20% off Media Composer Ultimate and Media Composer Enterprise seats. So potentially, if you're not currently utilizing Media Composer and you're interested in utilizing it at the institution, or you'd like to increase your seat count, or potentially test out Media Composer Enterprise or the subscription model, the new UI, anything, now is a really great time because this is 20% off education pricing as well. And that's running until the end of the month. So either reach out to your reseller or myself if you don't have one, and I'm happy to direct you towards them there. So yeah, shameless plug, we've got to add it in there, but it's a good time to kind of utilize it and test it out if you're interested. But that's all from me. Ray, Michael, any final comments there?
No, just thank you to everybody for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. And, don't be shy. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk to you more about what we're doing in education.
Thank you so much. Thanks for attending. Be well.
Thank you both, Ray and Michael, for taking the time. I know it's late there over in the US. And yeah, again, thank you all for the attendees, not just live here on the webinar, but also watching the live stream on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, any of those platforms really. And yeah, please stay tuned. We're doing a lot more in education coming up, and we want to be able to include every single one of you. So thank you again for joining. Have a great rest of your Thursday or your evening if you're anywhere else around the world. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.